But for a lot of people, there aren't a lot of places for youth to find help, so we specialize in helping youth, I guess.
Great. And
anything that we do, usually we start it because we see a need in the community. We don't just make stuff up. There's 4 different teams that are part of Breakaway. My team is the Family and Youth Initiatives team, or FYI for short.
I got it.
So we help kids 13 to 25 and their families. So we provide individual counseling and family counseling as well. So if a kid has a problem and their parents want to come in and have a chat with a counselor as well to help their relationship, we can work that out. I also do presentations in the community at homeless shelters, schools, with different organizations. For example, there's an organization called LOVE, stands for Leave Out the Violence. We've been involved with them, and also with LAMP, which they service the Lakeshore area. All sorts of community organizations we join up with. Harm Reduction Outreach Team, or HRO. So what they do is they go to women's shelters. They deal with a more adult population, or people who have more severe addictions usually. They also do counseling. They deal with more populations that are gang involved, or homeless, street involved, or possibly female street workers, which is a nice way of saying prostitutes. And do a lot of street outreach, so they're on the streets a lot. We also have an alternative school. It's called Clear Directions. So kids that go there, they're getting credits to graduate, and usually they'll have what's called concurrent disorders. So that means that they have drug problems and mental health problems. So they get help with their drug and mental health issues while getting back on track with school and concentrating on trying to graduate. Our satellite opiate treatment service, that's downtown we provide methadone treatment services there. So methadone is a prescribed drug for people who have addictions to opiates. Examples of opiates are heroin, codeine, morphine, anything that's derived from the opium poppy seed, right? Anyways, so they'll get methadone there, so that helps them deal with their withdrawal symptoms. And they can go about their regular day and get their kids to school, or get themselves to school, get to work, or whatever, so they're not having shakes and nausea and stuff like that. So it helps them reduce their use of the negative.
So it slowly kind of reduces it until they're...
Yeah. Right? It helps them, it helps a person reduce their use of opiates, or get rid of, or help calm down their withdrawal symptoms if they're starting to reduce their use.
Great.
And they also do counseling there, and all sorts of outreach for meals for communities and stuff like that. And they deal with more adults. Something that a trend that we see, I guess, is our satellite opiate treatment service is mostly men. And the HRO team, they talk to a lot of women. They talk to women's groups, support for women who have children or have been abused, stuff like that.
Perfect.
But at our office, it's all over the map, 13 to 25.
Great. So are your services kind of individualized based on the type of person or the type of drug problems they have? Or?
It can be. The counselors, they see people once a week, or however they see them, but they would alter their counseling based on the needs of that client. So based on how their addiction is, or what type of drug they're addicted to, possibly. But we just started a group for clients who are on probation. So we've altered that to deal with the stress of being on probation and having problems with the law and stuff like that. Me personally, I mostly do presentations and stuff, so I think that part of it, I think opening the lines of communication and giving kids an outlet to start talking truthfully about different drugs is always a good thing, because I think the more information people have, the more safer and more healthy choices they can make. And I think just the knowledge of it makes it seem less scary to ask about, so that if a kid is really, really curious about something, they're not going to make dangerous or negative choices for themselves. But with the counselors, it's hard to find a success rate because we're harm reduction based, not abstinence based. So it's not like this person is sober and that is our success and we have a certain percentage of success. Usually, I think for success, the counselors, it would be that a person would start to reduce their use and make healthier choices for themselves and possibly develop new coping mechanisms for the stresses that they have in their life.
Perfect. So, approximately how many people have, like, the whole Breakaway charity helped?
I had a number. We serve roughly, was it 10,000 people per year? And that includes all the teams.
Yeah.
Community presentations, individual counseling. We go to community fairs. So
in your opinion, how do you continue to achieve your mission? I'm not sure if you know your mission off by heart.
our mission is to, I used to be in Girl Guides, so I feel like I have to recite something. Our mission is to meet people where they're at. So we don't have any expectations or judgments from people when it comes to helping them with their addictions. So, like I said, we meet people where they're at and help them reach their own individual goals. So your question was, how do you
continue to, like, achieve your, like, how do you continue to do that?
So we just always have to make sure that we're keeping in touch with what people need. So if it means that we need to change one of our programs to suit people more, for example, recently we've noticed that there's a lot more mental health problems that we're seeing. So what we've done is we've reached out to a psychiatrist to help us learn more about how to help those people better. Or we've noticed that there's a lot of clients that need to get in and out of here because they're on probation and they want papers for the courts, so we started a program for them. But in general, just having non-judgment and making sure that whatever a person wants to get from our service, we do our best to provide exactly that, so that whatever goals they're trying to reach on an individual basis, that we can make it more possible for them.
So about your financing, I'm not sure how much you can say about it, but do you receive government funding?
Yeah, from the Ministry of Children and Youth. That's where our funding comes from.
Is that only for like this branch of Breakaway, or is it for like all of it gets that?
I believe it's for all of it, but I mean for our alternative school, they get funding from the school board, obviously, right? Because it's part of the public school system. But we just started a housing project for adults who are finding themselves homeless and have substance abuse issues. That's just, sorry, that I didn't mention that before, but it's brand new. And we're getting funding for that as a part of, we're joining up with another group called Regenerist, and so part of the funding comes from that as well. We're a nonprofit, so pretty much any money we don't spend on people's salaries and the buildings that you see, it goes right back into our services.
And do you have any private donors? Kind of.
It doesn't exceed like $1,000 a year. Any donations we have from community members or small groups of people, it doesn't exceed $1,000 a year, or maybe even $500. It depends. I think sometimes organizations like this one, it's harder to develop or to get funding from private donors unless they've been involved with drugs or have had family members who are involved with drugs. It's a bit controversial that we're harm reduction because a lot more people are more used to or familiar with abstinence-based programs, and sometimes because we give out clean needles or crack kits or methadone treatments, people might think that we're encouraging drug use, but what we're doing is saying that if a person is going to use, that we want them to use safely. So sometimes people have a hard time with that, which I understand. So I think that's why a lot of times it's hard to do fundraising to get support from the community. Regardless, it's a service that needs to be there because abstinence-based programs don't work for everybody. But they do work for a lot of people, but not for everyone.
And I'm sure you know, but if we happen to win this, then we get $5,000 for your charity.
It'd be 5 times more than we would ever get in 1 year.
Yeah. So what do you think that you would do with that money if the charity got it?
Well, something that we have is a peer speakers bureau, so it's like former clients that we try to involve in the community, and we like to provide them with honorariums for their volunteer time with us. So some of that money could go to them. So for example, we have one client, his name is Nat, and he comes out and does presentations in the community with me, and he tells people his story. So it would be nice to provide him with bus tokens or money for his time. Something else, money for programs, any programming that we do that's new. It's hard to get it off the ground with getting enough people here or having it at the appropriate times for people, and all the supplies that are required for it. We provide meals at our satellite office for clients who come in, so that's a big cost, meals and stuff like that. Any nonprofit runs at a deficit, and it's hard to, a lot of times, a lot of people that work here, I know they'll do what they can to save the organization money or time or whatever, so sometimes it would be nice to just sort of spoil the clients or have something extra for them as an incentive to be involved, or just make it easier for them to get here, like I said, with TTC tokens or cab fare or something like that if it's hard for them to get here, because as long as a person gets here they can get the help, but if they can't get here, it's hard.